Can you really separate art from the artist? In today's world, cancel culture looms hauntingly around the corner of each celebrity. If they did something bad, even if it was in the Renaissance era, true crime girlies will come and cancel your ass. So Richard Wagner, be careful, we're watching you. And as a girly who actually doesn't watch true crime and is terrified of it, I thought I would talk on some of the celebrities that have been cancelled and their actions. So I'm going to decide for myself whether I can separate their art from them as a person. I have a lineup of some celebrities from all different genres of fame. So let's discuss their allegations, the outcome, the response, and whether or not we should morally allow ourselves to continue to consume their content. I'm going to talk about 4 different individuals with different stories, from different times and different careers. We have Michael Jackson, Ansel Elgort, Stanley Kubrick, and most devastatingly to me, Cody Ko. What am I gonna do when I eat lunch now? All of these are my opinions. If you disagree, I'd love to hear your own opinions in the comments. I am just one opinion after all. I shouldn't be allowed to decide the fate of celebrities' lives. But do you know who should? Someone unbiased, like AI. So I asked ChatGPT. I actually asked ChatGPT yesterday. That depends on a lot of variables like personal value and ethics, impact on the audience, historical context, legal and financial considerations, nature of the art, culture and social impact. Whether one can separate art from the artist, it's a personal decision. Very well put, ChatGPT. I've probably been researching this man for like over a week now, trying to figure out whether he's innocent or guilty, being shown debunked evidence and proven evidence to the point where I've been pulled every which way that I actually don't know if he is innocent or guilty. I want to watch another documentary on Amazon Prime that is kind of shows all the reasons why he's innocent. And so I want to dedicate a whole video to Michael Jackson because 20 years this stuff went on and it's like no one knows. That's just the end answer, is that no one knows.
How to pronounce the name of American actor, singer, and DJ? We are looking at how to pronounce Ansel Elgort.
Back in 2020, Ansel Elgort faced a heavy allegation towards him. If you need a refresher of what happened, a Twitter user called Gabby claimed that she was sexually assaulted by Ansel Elgort when she was 17. I didn't think he'd ever see my DM. I was just some kid and was a fan of him. Ansel to this day continues to deny these allegations, claiming that they were all consensual activities. I never and would never assault anyone, Elgort says, and then added they had a brief, legal, and entirely consensual relationship. I feel like anyone that assaulted someone would say that they'd never do that. At the time of this relationship, Gabby was 17 and Ansel was 20, and where Ansel resided was Brooklyn, and the age of consent there is 17. So if it was in Brooklyn, not technically illegal. However, her claims were that she was being sexually assaulted, so it's all up in the air. And also, there's no proof of where it happened or where Gabby lives, so also don't know if it was the correct age of consent. So at this point, it is just a he said, she said against Ansel and Gabby. So if you want to believe him, sure, I'll just leave you with this quote from him. Girls love it when you have some weird nerdy thing in your room. It makes you look less threatening. Even though I'm like very threatening. I'm the most threatening guy ever. Huh?
Really? That is disgusting.
What?
What, do you think that that's cool or something?
It's a metaphor.
Now, I think he was trying to appear more masculine, or maybe he was joking, but a very bizarre thing to say. Since the accusations, Ansel has only been cast in one movie, if you don't count West Side Story, because I believe he was cast in that before the accusations were brought up, so. But yeah, he's been cast in Finest Kind, and on Rotten Tomatoes, that got a 29%. So we can say that this has definitely affected his career. But the big question is can we still watch The Fault in Our Stars and froth over Augustus Waters? Well, the answer is dependable. Actors from movies that are still reasonably big today, or at least blew up back in the day, still get yearly checks and earn money from them. This is called residuals. John Green actually appeared in the director's cut of The Fault in Our Stars. He still gets a check sent to him every year.
Hey, so it's a big day in the Green household. It's SAG check day. In 2014, a book that I'd written called The Fault in Our Stars was adapted into a movie, and when they were filming it, they were like, hey, we'd really like you to do a cameo in the movie, and I was like, oh my God, that sounds amazing, that's so cool, I'd love to do it. I had one line, my character's name was Girl's Father, and I remember after like each take, the director would say something like, yeah, I mean, maybe we can use that. So I had the feeling that I probably wasn't going to win an Oscar, but I wasn't totally prepared for what happened, which is that like 6 months after they finished shooting the movie, the producer called me and he was like, listen, I'm really excited for you to see the movie. I think you're going to really like it. It's really good. There is one thing you should know, which is that we had to cut you out of the movie because you're such a bad actor. But because I was in the director's cut, I still get a check every year. This year, it's for 16 cents. Anyway, that's fine. It's not like the movie was successful or anything.
So I do think the answer of whether we can separate him from his art is dependable, but it is safe to say that Ansel Elgort is not still profiting massively from his previous works. However, money aside, it is hard to emotionally differentiate Ansel Elgort from his characters. You see his face and you psychologically remember the accusations he's been accused of. It gives that uneasy feeling in your stomach as if you are doing something wrong, but also I feel like I am less likely to watch The Fault in Our Stars or Baby Driver because of these accusations as well. So after all that, I'm not sure if it feels right to separate them or not, because I do think if Ansel was put in a Marvel movie with Florence Pugh, I'm likely to go to the movies or stream it on Disney+. Yeah, but emotionally I would just be like, oh, I just don't want him in this movie. So just Marvel, please don't ever cast him as a superhero. I do think it is possible to separate your favorite characters from the actors that play them. I'm trying to think of it in like a Kevin Spacey sort of way, you know, like he continues to deny these allegations that feel proven, yet he's still being cast in movies to date. He's keeping reasonably busy with gigs as well. Like, why do they keep casting him? But do I still want to rewatch Moon and show that to my boyfriend? Yeah. It's almost like it feels fine to watch something before the allegations were told, but not watch anything new that they have been put in after the allegations have come up. But residuals, I don't know. Stanley Kubrick was a passionate man. He cared deeply about his craft, even if it meant at the expense of actors' physical and mental well-being. It's pretty well known on the internet that Kubrick was not the nicest man. Jack Nicholson even told the New York Post that Kubrick was difficult with Duvall, berating her in front of the cast and crew and punishing her for errors. She had the toughest job of any actor I've seen, he said. Crew on set also rumoured that Duvall had to retake that staircase scene 127 times to the point where it actually made a world record in the Guinness World Book of Records, which was then later debunked by a director, Lee Unkrich, who said that the person who made up that rumour was not even on set that day. And he has on file all of the takes that was taken, and there was not more than 15 takes that had been taken. So people like to make things up. Director Lee Unkrich also has this quote: "The story of Shelley Duvall and her supposed mistreatment on set became more and more exaggerated over the years, to the point where that's all discussed as if it was an extremely abusive situation, which it just wasn't." Another one of Stanley Kubrick's big hits, and probably my favourite film of his, used to be of all time back when I studied it in high school, is A Clockwork Orange, starring Malcolm McDowell as Alex. Malcolm McDowell speaks on this film with very mixed feelings. During the time of him filming it, he often refused to do another take because it was either physically hurting himself or another cast member.
But you went through quite an ordeal, didn't you, whilst making it, with the broken ribs, they say, during the re-education scene, and almost drowning at one point. But the one that's probably the easiest was the scratch cornea for the iconic Ludovico technique scenes. How long did you go blind for, and how much persuasion did you take to get back and finish shooting those scenes? A lot.
I mean, look, you know, he's a very persuasive man.
Stanley, I think what stops him from being a genius, for me, is this lack of humanity.
You know, they kept slipping out, and every time they fell out, they drag across my cornea. The pain, I cannot even describe it. It was so horrendous. It drove me to the point of madness. I mean, literally slamming my head into the wall.
At the end of the day, they say, well, what was he like as a man? What was he like as a human being? I think that's probably the test that he doesn't do well at.
But he talks about his experiences being life-changing and really positive to his future career.
I was a young actor. I knew this was going to change my life.
He says it was the hardest moment in his career, yet the most important. I think it's interesting how he talks positively about the film, yet miserably about the experience. And although Shelley Duvall admits that she was stubborn on set, they both had similar experiences in the sense that the whole experience as a whole was hell to be a part of, but it was the most crucial part of their career. Overall, it seems that Malcolm himself separates Kubrick's art from him as a person. He calls Kubrick a brilliant filmmaker, yet not a very compassionate human. When it comes to whether we should be able to still watch these films knowing that there are unhealthy work ethics involved, I do like to think about who's financially gained from it, especially since Stanley Kubrick is now dead. When he died in 1999, it's safe to say that his royalties went to either his daughters or his wife. And I haven't read anything bad about them online, so... Okay. But he's got 2 daughters, so it should be fine. Maybe all the royalties can just go to her. Oh no. It is safe to assume that the royalties probably are going to his wife anyway, because apparently Vivian Kubrick was disconnected from the Kubrick family when she devoted her life to Scientology. I think she might have talked to Tom Cruise a bit too much on Eyes Wide Shut. Emotionally, however, it feels easier to disconnect myself from Stanley Kubrick's work, from him as a person, because I'm not ever really physically seeing him on his films. I'm just seeing these like beautiful creations of art. Since he's hiding behind the camera, it's easy to be lost in his world, as opposed to Ansel Elgort, who you're following every step along the way. Stanley's never seen, so therefore you're detached from him as a person. I'm going to mark this case as separable, mainly for the reason that I think these films are important to society. These films influenced many directors to date. Vince Gilligan, Martin Scorsese. Gabe, how do you say Martin Scorsese? Scorsese. Martin Scorsese. And even Steven Spielberg. I'd even be bold enough to claim that these films changed filmmaking at the time. Therefore, they have an incentive for society to continue to consume their arts. There's lots of questions to ask about free will and what's morally right or wrong, which is ironic, I admit. I really didn't think this time would come. He brought comfort to those during lunchtime. He inspired many to start their running journey. He changed what it meant to be a frat boy. Cody Ko was probably the most famous commentary YouTuber at the time and was only on the rise. Before D'Angelo posted his video, did he know his downfall was about to come? I've been a fan of Cody Ko since 2020 when his button videos started coming out. I was very quick to notice the change of his second channel. He would always have thumbnails and have it really crisp and sharp and clean when you watch them. But now there's no thumbnails and it feels like they're barely edited and the content is not as exciting or thrilling as it used to be. It makes me think that maybe he thought his downfall was coming and so he was trying to release just as many videos for views and money and that sort of stuff. Like, was he just trying to get as much content out before Tanner's podcast became viral? Because he was doing it every second day until that D'Angelo video came out and then he just stopped. Interesting. If you've been living under a rock for the past few weeks and aren't sure what Cody Ko did, I do suggest watching D'Angelo's video. He respectfully and calmly puts Cody in his place. But essentially what Cody did is when he was 25, at a playlist live, he hooked up when he was 25 with a 17-year-old YouTuber, Tanner Moju. Once D'Angelo released his video, YouTube was swept away with video after video on every breathing thought on the Cody Ko situation. Since then, he has lost almost 300,000 subscribers. I think the most telling part of this is Cody's silence and his silencing. This first started airing in 2021, and since then he has been really good at monetizing his videos, so the topic never comes up, and therefore he avoids it and doesn't have to talk about it. Look at this clip that resurfaced.
Like the fact that he described it as dating younger people, while Noel Miller says assaulting children, is so telling.
Oh, Seinfeld got away with it.
Yeah.
I was just kind of sitting there like reading like just one of those tweets, and I'm like, how is it that like when people get rich, like that's like top 5 things they get caught doing?
What, dating younger people?
Just assaulting children, or like just like Seinfeld.
As Stans and Kent said, it's as though you can relate to the content that's being talked about. I think another part that gave me a big sign that maybe he doesn't even feel guilt is the fact that he's still very good friends with that guy who did something kind of gross in university and filmed it. I think D'Angelo talks about that as well, so I'm not going to talk any further about it because it makes me incredibly uncomfortable. Kind of telling. But hey, boys will be boys. I feel we might never get a word from Cody. I think he's just going to step out of the limelight and focus on becoming a father, which is probably the smartest move considering the other YouTube apology videos that have happened recently. Just as long as he stays gone, because so many influencers leave for a bit, or they make an apology video, they leave for a bit, then they come back and act as if nothing ever happened. Shane Dawson, Colin Ballinger, Sienna May, all of these people aren't even really spoken about anymore. No one cares about the things that they did that were wrong, and they're just continuing to gain money and views and love, able to just continue their careers normally. And I think that's messed up. Also, after seeing Cody Ko's last apology, when he said the N-word, and he only just wrote like a small paragraph for his patrons, I don't have hope in that his next apology will be good. However, he is quite a smart and business-oriented individual that he might find a way to sneak his way out of this, or say something that is reasonably well put to the point where you want to believe him. I would just say be careful if he does come back with an apology. This specific case isn't even a debate for me. Cody gave me the clearest answer that this was inseparable compared to all the other people I've spoken about. Cody's career is based off his personality alone. His videos are him as a person with his opinions and his views on the world. They are all him. It is wrong to support that. It's not like we're watching Cody create beautiful art like Stanley Kubrick, or turn himself into a character like Ansel Elgort. He's just being himself. It's a shame because I have been craving the Nightmare music video with Nut for so long. He is almost directly profiting all 100% of his money, so. But also he's getting lazy with his content, so maybe this is a good thing. Wow. I'm quite full after researching and making this video. I think I might steer away from YouTube for a while. This experience did feel actually quite jarring though, in the sense that cancel culture itself is pretty toxic. There is a degree of it which I believe in, not letting awful people be financially rewarded or morally excused for their actions by consuming their art. But man, if you really start digging and researching these people, you'll start being convinced that maybe they aren't all bad that the internet makes them out to be, because some of these cases do get blown out of proportion. Cancel culture is now turned into a way to gain clout and money and fame just by talking about these people that have wronged others. It's super disappointing that the internet has come to the point where everyone craves attention, to the point where we can't actually believe real victims and help them. But after all this, I do still stand by that some cases are hard to separate out from the artists, such as YouTubers. But when it comes to directors, actors, and musicians, it becomes a much blurrier line. As ChatGPT said, it does just depend on a multiple of variables. The one person I would not trust, though, is this actor